My name is MoldyBanana. I am the owner of Team Divinity. To my right, we have VexyLad, another one of our co-hosts from 1UP Gaming. Below me, I have Meistyr from Unleashed Gaming as well. And then obviously our guest here today, AFiestyTaquito, the head caster for Valhalla Esports. Taquito, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on. But real quick, obviously, give us a quick rundown about your journey in casting and what really got you into everything.
Cool. So way back in the day, well, now it's way back in the day. I know a couple, well, maybe Meistyr remembers. I don't know. I know Vexy for sure remembers. You guys remember Indie Gaming League?
Yes.
Okay, we're all the same. We're all on the same page. All right, so everybody remembers Indie Gaming League. All right, so I was on a squad of teams that was called Who Crew, and Who Crew was affiliated with the now signed content creator Hootie Who for Oxygen Esports. And we had a bunch of different squads. I played competitively. I was like champ 1 at the time. And my team was at the time, his name was One Young Eggplant. There's Dylan, and then I'm gonna not say his full title, but Sick Butt Bro. But the word wasn't bud; it was another word. I don't want to, get too flagrant here. But it was Sick Butt Bro, and that was my squad. And one day we were doing like private matches or whatever, and we had like a whole bunch of people for in-houses, and I was like, let me try, casting this game. Let me see if I could like do this. Like casting looks a lot of fun, because at the time I was watching a whole lot of RLCS. I mean, I always watch RLCS. I'm always talking about it, but Stacks, dude. Stacks is like a phenomenon, and I wish I had a modicum of like the energy and like cadence and voice, everything about Stacks, dude. I wish I had a modicum of what he has. He makes like watching the game and listening to it so fun, and I was just like, dude, I wish I could do that. I wish I could be like a shoutcaster or something like that. And I tried commentating the game, and I was actually playing on the Xbox. I had not even gotten my PC yet. I was an Xbox. I was a console player, and so I had a capture card with me at the time, and I had my computer, but I hadn't like made the switch to playing the game on the computer yet. And so I used the capture card in OBS to try to make a video of casting the game, and it was horrible. it was the worst. Oh my god, it was so bad. I paused the game in the middle of it. It was so terrible. It was so terrible. I was like checking the scoreboard. I was doing all kinds of stuff. But I got denied by IGL very first time I ever submitted a video, and I had to play the whole season afterwards. But like during that season, we still did in-houses, and I still commentated, and I still tried to learn how to do it. And like at the beginning of the next season, we had one of the crews in the Who crew needed a caster, and they were like, bro, just do it, just stream the game and cast it. And that was it. Like that was my first time like actually like really like sitting down and recording a video for it and actually trying. And I submitted that video, and then 2 weeks later I got accepted by IGL. So that was my journey into casting, which was like 2.5 years ago.
That's honestly, I love that. The main thing I loved about that is the fact that like you got denied, but like you still didn't like get denied and like just stop doing it. Like you still continued through with it. You got accepted then into IGL eventually. It just wasn't in the exact moment you may have liked to have, but you still went, you continued through, you kept casting. And I honestly like really appreciate that, because a lot of people, once they get denied by something like that, they would just end up stopping. And for you, you didn't let it affect you. You still kept casting, and here you are today, one of the head casters of a huge organization like Valhalla Esports. And tell me a little bit about that. What got you involved in Valhalla?
Viking, he just reached out, and he was like, hey man, you wanna partner with us? You wanna like we'll help you get views. It's the whole like, exposure thing. We'll help you get views. We'll do this. We'll do that. He was just like, look, man, we're trying to come up. He's like, you casted one of our games. I liked you. And I was like, yeah, might as well. Like, I'm not with anybody specifically. And these are people I don't know anything about. And I haven't seen them around any of these leagues yet. So what better way than to put people on my channel that nobody really knows at the time, and get them more views? Because I mean, this is not a flex. Okay, I was gonna say another phrase, but this is not a flex. My channel has more eyes on it than probably most casters, and that's only because of how long I've been doing it, who I've done it for, the amount of people I've done, all that stuff. I mean, Vexy can attest to it. I've known Vexy for some time.
Yeah.
He's trying not to. Whatever. I'm not. Like I said, I'm not flexing. It's just
Taquito over there in the background really built like, yeah.
Well, and the thing is, Taquito, he's just extremely smart in the way that he did, like, pretty much he did his business, quote unquote, properly. He got to the organizations that needed casters. He got reached out by them, and he casted games for them, brought fans and viewerships in there, and he just did basically the basics of building a community, and that's exactly what he did. And we see a lot of other casters, especially now, more so after IGL shut down, at least in my personal preference. We see more casters now more than ever really starting to come up. For example, Peak.
Yep.
Peak is a newer caster, and I've casted a bunch of times with him, and he's only been casting. I don't even know if he's been casting for a year yet. It's only been a few months, if I'm not mistaken.
He told me when I cast with him, it was like about 3, and that was like 2 months ago.
And
that was like a month.
It's crazy how many new casters, like, people like you, Taquito, have inspired so many different people to start their casting journey, and I think that's why we see so many new people now rising up trying to be casters, because they know how many communities are in need of those casters and what an important role they play in esports nowadays, especially the amateur scene.
Oh, 100%. The biggest thing is and this is just from interaction, totally, because Meistyr hasn't talked just yet, but this is solely like directed at Meistyr. Like, Meistyr is like the co-owner of an organization, just like yourself, Moldy, but like you're doing AGL, so like this is I'm what I'm gonna say is a lot different. Meistyr's like looking to have the org's games casted. He like, if he's a player, he's a player, but his job is to get his guys on the screen, and his job is to find casters to cast the game. His job is to find trustworthy people to bring some form of entertainment to, like, even if it's just 3 people watching the game, it's still exciting for those 3 people. And that's a big thing that a lot of us also need to not look at, is that viewer number. Like, do not place any stock in the viewer count. Like, I have mine on my channel, but when I switch to the game, it disappears. So I can't, like, I may be looking at the chat, but like my stream manager and stuff is behind the game on a screen where I can't see it. I have no idea how many people are in my chat. Like, I have no idea how many people are watching, because a lot of the newer casters get self-conscious, like, oh, I don't have any views. People don't want to watch me. People don't want this. People don't like that. Man, they don't like me. You get all in your head, and it's really not that important. If you're good, it's the whole Field of Dreams thing. I don't know if you guys are old enough to know the movie Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner, but it's literally
Field of Dreams.
I
build
don't,
it,
unfortunately.
Okay, so there's a big key phrase from Field of Dreams. It's build it and they will come.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, it is an actual like mantra in business college. Like, I went to school, got a business degree, whatever. But yeah, in business school, they literally teach you the build it and they will come model. And it works like that in casting. Like, dude, I did not, like, when I started, I could barely hold 3 viewers. I swear to God, like, until I got like 150, like maybe close to 200 followers, I didn't peak past 5. Like, 5 was like the max. I was geeking if I had 5 viewers in my chat. And then I like started getting more followers, and I stopped caring about less about the viewers and more about like, okay, like, am I really having fun doing this, or do I just care because I want to be entertaining for more and more people to come in and watch? So, I mean, that's really what it is. People like Meistyr are the reason people like me do what I can do, is because he's scrounging for people to go look for casting games. And I'm sure the moment I end this sentence, he can tell you he's probably found some duds.
Honestly, the biggest thing I've run into is just availability. There's a lot of people that just don't fit the hours where we're playing games. Especially EU. EU is very hard, very, very hard to find casters for. There's, I can count like 2 people that I know that cast EU games that are EU casters, and one of them is on one of my teams. So,
that's the thing. It's so unfortunate because the EU side, in terms of amateur scene, is not as nearly as big as the NA scene, and it's something that's so like I think a lot of it, and I could be mistaken by this, but a lot of it is because there's a lot of like school sides, like school teams and stuff like that, like college scene stuff like that, where they have their own leagues within EU, which is where a lot of those players go. And you know, we see more and more players now joining the amateur scene over in, you know, for example, like IGL. They had however many, you know, EU teams that were there. They had plenty. But you know, we don't necessarily now, you know, we see other organizations like LOS Champ, obviously AGL, like they have EU teams, but of course it's nowhere nearly as big as the NA scene, and it plays such an effect, especially on the casters and whatnot. And I think over time, once more EU organizations get to be established, like Taquito said, that need for casters is going to rise, and that jump in EU casters is going to continue to grow. And that's a really, really important thing to kind of keep in mind in terms of EU amateur gaming, because it's not really a huge scene right now, at least from what I've seen.
It's not.
The big thing about... Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Meistyr. I'm so sorry.
I was just going to say, I talked to some of my EU guys about the EU scene, because they kind of came onto our team in an unconventional way. Another org was closing out, and I was like, hey guys, do you want to play under us? We have some resources that we can lend to you, you know, make your team better, whatever, we'll work with you, things like that. And so they're like, sure, yeah, we'll join. So we did a lot of talking there at the beginning. We still do. I mean, I like to talk to all the people in my org, but he was really telling me, like, there's just not a lot of people that play Rocket League in the amateur scenes. Even like competitive, sometimes it's hard to get a queue. Like late in the morning, but you know, 3-4 in the morning, you'll have extended wait times. But it's like when you're hopping back on an old COD and you're sitting there for like 5 minutes, that type of waiting. And it's like, I hear that, it's like, wow, that's crazy. And it definitely has to be a regional thing, because we have another guy on one of our EU teams. He's Danish, and he's showing me this league. There's a Danish league that's like bigger than what IGL used to be.
That's crazy.
And you have to either live in Denmark or be a Danish citizen living outside of Denmark. So you either have to live there and be on your way to citizenship, or already be a citizen to play.
How are they going to prove that? Are they going to say, show me proof of your citizenship?
You literally have to, you have to prove it.
Yeah,
that's insane. That's honestly insane.
So
wow.
What's it called?
It's really just I couldn't tell you. It's in Danish. The whole website was in Danish. I couldn't read it. But no, it really does seem like a regional thing. In terms of like we have another guy on an EU team, but he lives in the Middle East, so we call him a MENA player, because we have our server set up for all of our regional stuff to be like RLCS regions. So just in case. I know, obviously, unfortunately, there's not any MENA leagues out there for amateurs. There's not really. I don't even think there's any Oceania leagues yet. It's just not a thing in amateur gaming. And so, you know, we try to bring those kind of people, get them on whatever servers are playable for them, and at least get them something. But you know, I was talking to him about it, and he's like, yeah, a lot of my friends don't even play Rocket League.
Yeah.
And that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say is like with EU, from what I understand, like the only people who are active are like the people who are trying out for RLCS.
Yeah.
When they drop EU brackets, like those get full immediately.
Mhm.
But that's also because EU is so top heavy. Like the amateur scene is not like it is here where all of our like C1 to like GC2 ranks are just saturated with
So
talent.
dense. Very,
Yeah, there's
very
so
dense.
much, and like that's such a wide range of ranks in this game. But there are so many people in those ranks that are itching to play the game competitively. And so doing what you do, Moldy, like this right here, it helps out Meistyr, it helps out me, and I mean it definitely helps out Vexy. So like it helps out everybody sitting here. So like I mean yes, I'm a guest on this, but still shout out to all of you guys for literally just again working together to help me have a job. Like that's really what it is. Like, that's really what it is. Like without actually intentionally directly helping us, you help us. So
But it goes the same way to you guys as well, you know. Without you guys, how would our league really be functioning as well as it is? Because, you know, obviously I can't cast every game. That's not even physically possible. And, you know, having, you know, the 20 casters that we have, I think we have roughly 22 to 24 casters just in the AGL server that do AGL matches, you know, each week. Like, I mean, that's insane to me. You know, of course, Vexy and Taquito both being two of the 24 that we actually have, which to me is just crazy because, you know, without you guys, a large portion, like 95% of the matches probably wouldn't even get casted. So a huge shout out to the casters as well, because without their support, without their continuous, you know, cast each week, there's no way that some of these leagues would be obviously as, you know, built up as they are, because a lot of people live for those casts. They love watching those casts. They like seeing, you know, VexyTaquito, even now Meistyr, he's getting in the booth. And
Meistyr, bro, you gotta join the bank. You gotta come to the bank. If you really want to be a certified guy, you have to perform in the bank. Taquito knows.
Yeah, you gotta get on money time, baby. You gotta get on
get-
money time.
Like,
If
if
you
you
get
can't
unleashed
perform in
up
that,
and going, it's
But
off.
hey, realest thing is it's funny you say all that because I do have an AGL game tonight at 10:30 Eastern.
oh, there we go. See, exactly.
it's funny you say that too. I've been in an AGL drought for the past couple months. So,
Hey, I'm just gonna say it once. I've put so many requests in that urgent request channel.
Yeah,
you
you
had
have.
more. You had more than enough opportunities to cast an unleashed game.
hold on.
Hey.
Let me fact check that real quick.
Look. All I'm saying is while he's looking, I mean.
I haven't seen any in the past 20 days. What are you talking about?
Before you even ask, man, there is something that I myself, I just want to talk about. So, you know, before we got on here, you talked about these questions you're gonna ask, and like, I hate to like kind of take over for a second, but there is something that is really cool. It's really, really cool, and it's something that I wish everybody did. Okay, so this is not to plug something else outside of AGL, but we all know Skyward, right? Everybody knows Skyward Series.
Shout out to
Okay.
Slep.
Yes, exactly. Shout out Slep, shout out Flip Out, shout out everybody who gets that going.
Shut up.
So, do y'all know the origin of Skyward Series? Do you know
Yes.
where
It
came from?
was Radiance Esports went IGL shut down, and then they decided to declare it Skyward Series.
Wrong.
Oh.
So the question is, what is one of the most memorable moments or highlights of my career? I think
I know what it is.
I was a caster for like 7 months ish, and again, I still hadn't peaked over like 200 followers. All right. Flip Out hits me up. Flip Out has this idea,
I know this.
and I am all about doing everything for any kind of charity during charitable months. Like huge guy. If all these leagues would start doing like, you know, like November Breast Cancer Awareness Month and stuff like that, I'm all about that. Charities and
season 1.
and this is like it was one of the coolest things ever because Flip Out tried so hard, but he worked for months, literally, to give me a screenshot of a picture. A picture, not even a bracket, not even a tournament, nothing, a picture. He worked for months to give me a picture of something called Score for a Cure. It was a 3-day event on the weekend. And he had this graphic set up. He had the idea behind it all. Like, this kid didn't sleep for 2 months, allegedly, to get this graphic up and going. And he gets this graphic and he's like, hey man, I really want to do this tournament for this type of cancer. And we're going to, we have this Tilify link set up. We'll get the donations going, all, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, man, sure. I'm down to do it. I didn't think it would be this big. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, dude, it's charity. Who cares? I'm down. I'm like, I will absolutely give my time. Well, do you want something? Do you want? No, I don't want anything. Everything goes to the charity. You're gonna give anybody anything? Put it in the pot. Okay, cool, man. Yeah. So it starts on Friday. I have my own little group because it was the it's the whole group A, group B, group C thing into the 8-person bracket into the finals. And before we even got to the third match in each group, he raised over $100. His goal was only $100. He literally thought he was only gonna get $100.
I remember that.
Before we got into the third match, before we finished the groups, he got $100. And wow. And he was like, and he reached out to me after that. And he was like, dude, this is crazy. Like, I'm not gonna believe this. He was like, this is day one. And I'm like, exactly. About this is day one. We still have 2 more. And like, he was like, oh, but you're gonna help me out on final day, right? He's like, yeah, I'll host the stream. I'll do this. I'll do that. Whatever. Day 2 comes around. I forget who really. I think it was Blue who really got it going in OUG. But on day two, they raised an insane amount of money over on his stream. They raised so much money, bro. And
Yeah, that was us. Yep.
It was nuts. And he ended up getting like $300 or $400 in his stream. So we were up to $500. Yeah. And then we get into finals. And this is and to this day, this is the only time I've ever had the highest viewing stream of my life in my entire career before I ever had 200 followers. I had 51 people simultaneously watching me, not as good as a caster as I am today by any stretch of the word, but I had 51 people on my stream watching me cast grand finals for a tournament that we ended up topping out at almost $900 for charity.
I remember you being like joining my VC after, like I was in there with Blue and all them, and you were just ecstatic after that.
It was the most hype moment I've ever had. The second most hype moment came a year later, and neither of you two were around for it. Vexy was, but we hosted something through OUG called Feisty's Fall Tourney.
That was a year later?
That was a year later.
What?
Almost a whole year later.
I thought that was...
Nope.
That was around the same time, bro.
Nope, it was almost a whole year later. Skyward was still in the works. They still hadn't figured it out yet.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But,
a little bit slow.
Yeah, but they were still working the timeline to get Skyward going all that while from Score for a Cure. And we had hosted Feisty's Fall Tourney, which had a $200, $300 prize pool. What was it, Vexy? Was it 200 or 300?
3 plus donations to add.
Yeah, and I think it ended up being like 330, 340.
I think it was 355.
Okay, yeah, it was some like uneven number. I remember it was a really weird payout.
Oh, by the way, I just want to say SFAC won by OUG. Just
yes, and what was really cool about Score for a Cure is the winners didn't even take the money. They gave it back to the charity. That's why we almost.
And if you didn't know, OUG the team that OUG competed with, which was OUG Cyan, is now the well-known org that we like to call the Swordfish people. The Swordfish Esports.
Oh, I never knew that.
Romang, Skillers, Gabe, all under me and Alex, dude.
Wow. Yeah. And,
Prodigies.
And then, like I said, a year later, we hosted Feisty's Fall Tourney with like a nice payout. It was me and Solo Nalo. I don't know if you guys know that name, or if you've heard of Solo Nalo. He used to be a caster. He's really fun to work with. He was really fun to like host with, because he actually it was my name on the tournament, but Solo was actually really the guy who hosted it. Like he was like the guy who's like, you know, talk through everybody and set everything up. He was really fun to work with. And finals ended up getting casted by me and who else?
It was you and Solo.
Okay, it was me and Solo. Okay, because it was one of those things of like, who do you know, how did you set it up, blah blah blah, and like really going through all of that, like really showed me how much time and effort you have to put into your craft. And I think that event was only as big, and this is gonna sound so conceited, but it was only as big because my name was on it, but it was also the staff that we had casting it.
Dude, we had such a lit lineup that weekend.
We had a lot. We had Brambo, we had Outlaw, we had Cobra, Vexy did some stuff, Blue did some stuff, like all the big people that you can think of in the amateur scene. Yeah, Falcon was there. I worked with Falcon on Saturday. Like all the big names that you guys think of in these amateur leagues, like I had working with me in one weekend. That's so awesome. Like, oh dude, it was one of the craziest things I've ever done. And again,
I think it's the highest in OEG history viewership wise.
It's
our first one, best one.
Yeah, we peaked out at almost like 70, 75 viewers.
Dude, that was so. I remember that like it was yesterday, dude. I actually went to bed, like, because we bracket resetted the grand finals, and I was like, dude, I gotta go to bed. I gotta go to school the next day. Like I can't stay up this long. Then I just watched the VOD back, and I just hear Taquito screaming.
Yeah,
and screaming.
It was a nuts weekend, man, and it just. That proves, and I think I have it as my freaking status in Discord is dedication and perseverance produces results. And like you said in the beginning, I didn't quit. I got denied, but I didn't quit. I tried. And we're here now.
Motivation.
That honestly, that's an incredible story. And you know, I love the entire background of all of this, your memorable moments, you know, the motivation you have behind it, all that stuff. Like it's honestly incredible. And you know, it's kind of funny you say all that, because now obviously I had nowhere near as big as a come up as you did. You know,
sure,
I did not have anything like that, but I will never forget. You know, it's the first season in the winter circuit, and we peaked up at 83 viewers.
I remember the stream.
And I will never forget that. That was one of the craziest days. And like, you know, you said Vexy as well. Like you guys said, like the viewer count, like seeing it up in like the 50s and like the 70s, like it's just crazy to see. And I will never forget when the stream turned off for a few seconds. I came back on, and then all of a sudden we went from 54 viewers to 83. And I'm like, there's no way. Like, and I went, it was me and Thrifty casting that day, and it was one of Thrifty's teams as well. And I'll never forget when the VC ended, I said to Thrifty, I was like, this is one of the coolest things I have ever done. And those memorable moments, you never forget them. Like, you remember them so clearly in your head to where, like, no matter what happens, you're never going to forget them. They're memories that are always going to live with you. And that's why, and I talked about this a little bit on the last episode, but that's why esports, to me especially, has played such a huge impact on my life, because it changes so much for you.
It does. And that's, and Meistyr, that's a big reason why, dude, even if you don't trust your own skills as a caster, and I say this with full confidence, all right? Vexy and I have had plenty of conversations like late at night, and he's talked about who he listens to, what he likes, how he tries to model himself after casters or whatever.
All the time. I've had this talk with Taquito so many times.
You are never going to know how good you are unless you do it with somebody else. And co-casting is the easiest way to do it, but you got to work with somebody who's really easygoing. Somebody whose build-up is, you know, they help you. Okay, if you ever played t-ball, or you ever played like underhanded baseball where they literally lobbing you the shot, you got to play with somebody who's going to tee you up constantly. Yes, you may not be able to think on the fly like that other person. That's not what it's there for. You're not there to receive the pass and then be able to regurgitate on the same level as that other person. I'm going to tell you right now, I am nowhere near as analytical as Cobra Warrior. He's like in the amateur scene, he's probably my favorite caster. Straight up.
Cobra's excellent at that.
I love Cobra so much. I will tell anybody who's ever worked with me knows Cobra's my favorite. but that's because Cobra truly is an analyst.
He is.
Like word for word, bar for bar, he is an analyst. But he is like the achieves of the amateur scene. He can literally break plays down for you and tell you exactly when and why they happen. Me, on the other hand, I'm more of like a hybrid caster. I like to throw in some analytics. I like to do some color commentary, but I also just try to make it entertaining. All of you here have been in my stream. 2 of you have worked with me. The third one, I'm sure down the road we'll end up doing something together. 10:30 at night. If you're not doing anything, let me know.
I'll be up.
So it really is. You just need to, as all the people in the pro scene say, you just need to know ball. If you know ball, just talk about it. Talk about it in a way that you're talking to a bunch of people who don't know ball.
Yeah.
And it is so easy to form it from there. And another thing too is you don't need to point single play.
Yeah.
Play-by-play commentary is fine. It really is. But play-by-play gets really boring if the whole time it's me and Moldy going, oh yeah, he went to the corner over there and then he got a pass in the middle. Oh look, they saved it. It's an absolutely wonderful
He's in the corner. Yeah, we're on the field. We're on
transition now. Moldy, your turn. Moldy goes, oh yeah, hey, by the way, now they're down the field. Now they're in that other corner over there, and it's just gonna be like, dude, what? Like,
yeah. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I've done a few co-casts with you before, and that's one thing that I really like that me and you also have a little bit as well. Is like, I'm not as analytical as Cobra by any means at all. No way am I ever gonna get
Cobra,
that point.
The GOAT color commentator, hands down.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way I'm ever gonna get to that point. But I'm a very kind of analytical person as well, where like I like to talk about the stats in the game and talking about, just recently I started doing more statistical things with field domination and ball possession. Those types of things I like to mention, whereas someone like you're very big on just like entertaining everybody and being that, that caster that everyone's going to hear the majority of the time, be okay with it. Whereas for me, I talk a lot more about the analytical portion. So when you need a drink break real quick, here I am, I'm there, and now I start talking about more analytical, and then people enjoy that. And that's another thing too. There's so many different varieties of casters nowadays where it's like, you can work with someone one week, and then the next week you could be working with someone completely different style, and it just makes everything so entertaining.
You could go from working with me to working with Sporty, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking
exactly.
about.
Hey, man.
Hey, whoever listens to this, shout out Sporty though. I worked with Sporty recently. I will never not have love for that kid. I love that kid to the end of time. I don't care what nobody says. That is, oh man, okay. It's
Beaver
so hard.
Sporty caster clash? Question mark.
It is so hard in the beginning to work with him because he's a lot. He's a lot. To
he
take.
is.
He's a very for a very short guy in real life. He's a very tall drink of water. You know what I mean? Like, he is a lot when you're sitting there in the booth with him because he can talk so fast.
I will.
But it's so amazing. The more you work with him, the more you're able to actually hear every single thing he says. And even though he does talk really quick, he actually is pretty articulate to the most, like, to his best abilities. And it is insane how fast he can get so much of an intense play into one sentence.
I've told Sporty this in the past. We're sitting at an auction, and I just see, one Simon Sporty FC Price walk up to the stand, trying to auction off this boat, and he's going, auction 1 for $45, 2 for $45. Like, he could do that. Like, I'm telling you.
Yes.
I'll never forget, and this was last season. I did a co-cast with Sporty. It was a championship game, EU C3GC1 RCG Godfathers versus C4 Esports Yellow. It was Game 5 overtime. And in Game 5 overtime, and RCG Godfathers, they had a shot on, they missed. C4 got the ball, took possession, shot on, scored. Sporty did not breathe for the next like 30 seconds. And he's just like, oh my god, C4 yellow. They take it. I will never forget it because
I have that clip.
I was sitting there and like I was waiting for him to like take a moment and then I was gonna comment. I didn't even like, I was like, oh my god. Like I was more in shock about how long he kept talking for than the actual goal that just took place. And I was just like, man, like this kid, like he's incredible. Like he truly is incredible.
So good, dude.
It's
He's so good.
It's unreal. But with that being said, Taquito, you know, for casters, with there being so many different varieties of casters nowadays, in your eyes, what are like the key attributes or like skills that a caster should possess to become, you know, almost like how you were, where you gained a community, you gained that following where people continuously want to come back and watch your casts?
Man, I'm not gonna order them because placing something on most important it seems lame here. Things you just need to know. You need to know what cadence is. A big one you need to know is what cadence is. You need to have your own flow. You need to separate yourself from, I mean, there's 4 of us here. I need to be able to be different than all 4 of you. Yes, I am different than all 4 of you, but I mean, if I'm in Meistyr's position, I don't know what I am. You know what I mean? I haven't figured it out just yet. I'm just on the come up. I'm trying to learn. Find your flow. If you realize that you start talking about the game in a more analytical standpoint, run with it. Don't try to increase your color commentary. Just run with the analytics. If you know how to play the game and you know the mechanics, run with that. If you're with somebody and they're not like a seasoned caster, but they're somebody with enough skill, they'll pick up on what you're doing and they'll fill in the gaps for you. Moldy had no idea my exact flow, and we had never talked about it before we casted. It worked out great. Vexy, I've had tons of conversations with. Him and I have a sports background. We know exactly what we're trying to provide when it comes to watching and like when it comes to people viewing this game. We know what we want. We want that entertainment in some kind of way, shape, or form.
You always want those oh yes.
There you go. You always want the oh yeah.
That's definitely the flow I've taken to, as you can see, currently wearing a sports shirt.
All right, I'm out. See you later.
Yeah,
but I was saying,
wow.
Yeah, quick plug to the best baseball team.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow, we went
there.
We went
No,
there.
but I mean, you were saying it earlier. It's kind of funny. I don't know exactly what you said, but you were like, when you start, you know, casting and things like that, don't feel like you have to go play by play. Explain it to somebody as if they don't. This guy just has the worst takes in sports teams.
I'm saying,
I'm just gonna be honest.
The Bruins, the Phillies. What is that? An Eagles jersey there too?
No, the Eagles is okay. The Eagles right there is okay, but the Patriots.
That's not an Eagles jersey.
Vexy, sit down. Just come sit down.
Yeah, come sit down.
This is the team. These are the 2 teams I cheer for. Actually,
he's got good taste. He's got good taste there.
He's
okay?
got
That's
some
fair.
good
That's
taste
fair.
in
That's
amateur
fair.
teams, I guess. Yeah.
and
But
no. Back to what I was saying there, real quick. Explain the game, like the person doesn't know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You're not trying to go play by play, and something that I've really gained traction on with the one time I've casted and the times that I've practiced in my org and stuff, is I do kind of feel that NFL caster, the MLB caster. That's kind of the casting flow that I've already kind of adopted. And I love it. It's funny, you were saying that earlier specifically about the people that don't know. My girlfriend and my best friend both don't care anything about sports.
Nope.
I love sports.
There
So
you go.
the 2 people that I hang out the most with, I'm constantly saying, yeah, so this is why they just did this. Here's why that just happened.
Yep.
Here's what they're trying to do.
Always explainer.
And it makes it even better when you are able when you're able to understand the game at a higher level. I am a C3 player. I've almost peaked into GC, but I have not made it to GC in the game. Vexy can tell you, sure Moldy can tell you, you have literally been in my stream. You can tell my brain is a little bit higher than that. I may not be at the SSL level. I may not be able to like think how they think, but I'm able to at least see the game a step ahead from where I am ranked in the game currently. And it just comes from all the times I've watched RLCS, all the knowledge I've ingested, even from IGL. I get to sit in the booth and watch these high-level players play. I get to see the play-by-play like interaction between these extremely high-level players. And the one thing that it grinds my gears is when you're in a GC2 lobby and they're not doing, the RLCS flip, reset, air dribble, bump, double tap, triple taps off the wall, the psychos, the musties. Everyone's like, well, what is this C3 gameplay? Dude, these guys are like 4 ranks above you. I don't know why you're talking. Like, these guys would smoke you in a lobby. I really don't know why you're talking. The reason it looks so boring is because it's efficient. And if you can't understand that efficient play is actually just extremely hype, bro, I've seen so many like flip, reset, double taps in RLCS. I will lose my mind over a team play. When a clean team play happens, it is the sickest culmination of action in a game. And like, I get hype about that kind of stuff, but I also like when you're watching the game and you don't notice the dance, you don't notice the nuances, you don't notice the small little things that are occurring. Transition plays have become a really big thing I've been focusing on recently. There's a lot of transition plays and counterattacks. I haven't focused on those as a caster before, but I am now because they really turn the tide of a game.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that.
Counterattacks are a big one every time I'm watching a game. That's something that I always like to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
Those counterattacks, you're in that moment of vulnerability and then you strike.
I always talk, Taquito knows this, I think a lot of people that watch my streams know this. I always talk about transitional offense. And that is the #1 most important thing when you play Rocket League. From my rank of Diamond 2, my caster analytics of Diamond 2, all the way up to SSL. Transitional offense will win you games no matter what. I don't care. I'll stand by my take.
I disagree. Transition defense is what.
It's huge.
Transitional offense.
No, hang on. Both of those are important because why? The word describing both of the offense.
That's true.
That's true. Transitional game.
Yeah.
I should have said transitional game because I say transitional game, but I more refer to the offensive side because transitional offense is pretty much what Meistyr said, counterattack offense.
Yes.
And so like that is probably the most important stat.
But like I said, it's cadence, it's recognizing the nuances in the game, the mechanics. No, you don't need to know what the Bismillah flick is and be able to call it out as soon as it happens. You don't need that. What you do need to know is, like, you need to be sure you're calling out the right mechanics, or at least you have an understanding of what they are trying to do. So, like, squishy save, maybe say in and out save instead of squishy save, because maybe somebody don't know that squishy really did that in Season 6. Like, the flip reset, we all know what the flip reset is, but, so knowledge of mechanics, knowledge of gameplay, cadence, and last but not least, man, you need to be entertaining. With Peak on his come up, it's so odd, right? And this is no like Peak. If you hear this, I don't hate you.
Boy.
What I'm about to say is
Shots
no
are
shade.
about to be fired.
No,
Here we
it's
go.
no shade. It's no shade. It's his voice. And it's not a bad thing. I actually thoroughly enjoy his voice. I made a joke that he sounds like Chills, the YouTube guy. I don't know if you guys know the top 15.
You did tell me that. You did tell me that.
Yeah, but like he sounds like that, and it's really funny to me. I find humor in it because I relate to it, and it's this guy who's just like, and then they went in the hole.
Yes.
Find out.
No,
find out
you're
later.
so right.
Yeah. Find out later. If you leave a comment in the comment section, is what you think it's going to be. That's what every time I hear Pete talk, I'm like, "You're Chills, bro. I'm commentating with Chills. This is awesome."
You're honestly so right with that.
But like, otherwise, I'm not sure if I would find entertainment value in it. But then you hear what he says, and you hear how well that Peak actually knows the game, and it covers for everything that he does. Like, Peak's cadence is very specific. His knowledge of the game is very specific. because if you've seen him play the game, I think he's GC1, if I'm not mistaken. Like he's definitely champ. And
I don't know if he is.
Well, he's C2. I know that for a fact. We talked about it the last time.
He's higher ranked than me, obviously, because I'm the lowest caster of all time.
He has mechanics. He does know how to play the game. So, like, his own personal skill, his cadence, everything he knows about the game is what is literally carrying Peak, on top of the fact that he is grabbing every single game possible. If he's not an AGL, y'all should see the caster chat in Blackline Championship. Peak is all over that caster chat. Every time Nation pings us, Peak has like 3 messages, like 6 games. I swear to God, he's grabbing everything. So like that is another huge thing, is like, you put yourself out there for everything. It does get tiring, and you have to find a schedule for yourself. Before, I was doing Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Now I've limited myself only to Wednesday and Thursday, really, unless I'm doing an event. Then I don't cast during the week, and I just cast Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But like, you've got to do what works for you. So your time availability, your cadence, your knowledge of the game, your entertainment value, and your ability to like recognize the flow of the game. Those 5 things make or break a caster. And I mean, all of those are so important that if you're not very good at one of them, me personally, it'll make or break it for me. And it's tough. And it's not even like I'm some echelon caster type. It has nothing to do with that. Like the joke we made about Sporty. I worked with Sporty. Me and Sporty casted Score for Akira Finals. Vexy can tell you that was intense.
Yeah, bro. It was a little bit too much of a ear destruction, I would say.
Yeah, that was a lot, because Vexy hadn't figured out his volume levels yet.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
So that was really hard. Like, it was really hard then. Now, like I said, to see specifically where someone like him has come from and been to, like, massive change, massive improvement, and I wish nothing but the best for him. Working with people like Cobra coming through, even working with somebody like Brambo is so humbling, because I don't know if you guys know, Brambo is
that man's a genius. I don't know how he does it,
he's also older than I am, and so like, for him to be doing it with the skill level that he's doing it with and the knowledge that he has, unbelievably impressive. So like, everybody has the ability to do it. You just need to put the work in, and you need to find a frame, or you need to find the foundation for which you want to put the framework on. After that, you build it up. And if you start with the 5 things that I listed, one more time: cadence, knowledge, entertainment value, awareness of what's happening on the pitch, and then also just flow, straight up flow. Cadence, well, I'll separate cadence and flow. I'll separate those 2. If you can have all 5 of those things, man, you really can be successful, and it can start just as quick as it has for Peak. So,
well, with all that being said, of course, we talk about the skills and whatnot that would be required, but Taquito, to really wrap things up here, what would be, kind of the main challenges that a caster may face, and how can they kind of overcome some of those challenges they may face on their come up, or even in a position like you are in now? What are some of those challenges? What are some things that you've experienced yourself, and how can people really look to overcome that?
Life happens, and you need to understand when and when not, or like, you really need to understand when to take a break, and you need to understand that a schedule is necessary. You cannot do this every day of the week, all day of the week. You don't understand how mental it is.
Unless your name's Sporty FC.
Unless you're the Energizer Bunny, that's Simon Sporty FC prices.
Yeah.
But like Moldy, you run a league. You commentate on a channel for the league. You do things outside of the league. You have a life. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
In simple terms.
Yeah, you need to know when it's time to, like, I can only work within this time frame. Vexy, you have sports. You have a life. You do anything else, let's say schoolwork or whatever. Then you cast on top of all that. You are you have these slotted time frames that you have to work in. That is how you work. Meistyr, I don't know you as well as I know the other two. You have a life, you may have a job, you have casting, or you have your org or whatever. You know what I mean? You've got these time slots you have to work in. You have to understand that there are things you can do and there's things you just cannot do. And a big thing that I've actually picked up on more recently than ever is truly learning the ability to say no. And it's huge. Like, I know when you're trying to grow, you don't want to say no to every opportunity. You need to learn when to say no. You need to understand that you have personal time, you have your own time to yourself, you have your own mental health to worry about. Please prioritize that. Because streaming in and of itself is a lot more than just sitting in front of the computer, filming yourself, and trying to bring entertainment to a game. Even if it is just for one game, there's like you're gonna rack your brain about the views. You're gonna rack your brain of, oh, did I do this right or did I stink? Oh, well, there was this one thing that happened. You're gonna think about it. There's just no need to put yourself through all that. I think the biggest challenge is people not being able to say no and not making time for themselves. And it needs that needs to be a priority before you even start asking.
Very similar to what we heard last week with Outlaw. We focused a little bit more on that episode on the management side of esports and organizations, leagues, things like that. And it all boils down to just making sure you're giving it your all. But at the same time, your all does not mean doing it all the time.
Exactly.
When you're doing it, give your 100%, but make sure you're giving yourself breaks and time to recover and actually give your all. Because if you're running at 100% all the time, you're not going to be able to maintain that. And that's what it boils down to.
And yeah, and for one thing, that's just a general statement that can be applied to life itself. And with jobs and stuff like that, you give 155% every time you're in that job, whether it be flipping burgers at McDonald's or driving trucks like Taquito does, or maybe like managing a business. Like, you need to give time for yourself. And I know we're running out of time here, but I just wanted to ask one close-up clip-worthy type question.
Yeah.
Taquito, where did the "ho yeah" come from? I wanted to ask this all night. I wanted to ask this the whole time. I'm waiting for my perfect moment, and this is the perfect one to end it off.
Okay, so those silly vines and silly clips we've all seen growing up and stuff. One of the biggest ones that I do is, or I always say, is you guys are silly. I'm still gonna send it. It's that guy on the snowmobile just literally sending it off to like that kind of stuff, right?
It.
Yeah, there was a clip where a guy walked into a grocery store and he grabbed the emergency phone or the big phone off the wall to announce to the whole store. He literally was can I get a
oh yeah
into the phone, and it recognized, and it glared across the store. And you could hear 3 other people in the store do it back, and I was just that's great. I was I want people to like that. That's funny to me. And so I just did it one stream, and somebody came back the next day and they were yo, can I get a "ho yeah"? I was yeah, of course you can. and so every time somebody asked, I just did it. And it just became part of the stream, so I made it a channel point. And so people would look at it and they'd be oh, click, what's that? What's the "ho yeah"? And I'm oh yeah, just wait.
I'll never
just
forget.
wait until someone redeems that 200 channel points.
I'll never forget the first time I did a stream with Taquito.
Yeah,
and it was on his stream, and he goes, "Moldy, I know you're new around here, but I gotta do this." And he went and he did it. And in my mind, I was what just happened? What?
Yeah.
What happened? And
different environment on the Taquito stream, dude. It's a different place.
And again, those are the things that really build that community base. And another huge thing that Taquito did very, very well, and does very, very well even now, those things people really begin to put to you. And it's something that defines you as a caster or as an individual that people will remember you as. And that's why it became such a prominent thing for Taquito, and why it's still a prominent thing for him now, because he did it once, people liked it, and now here he is today, still doing it.
I think my "it's money time" stemmed off the flippy do, the "ho yeahs. So
the whole Outlaw casting vernacular.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask him that last week, and I did not do it. I was actually mad.
Whiffinator 9000,
Yes.
Spinny
Oh,
Doos,
yep.
the Whiffy Doos. Oh my
God
god,
damn.
he's so good at it, dude.
He
He's
just throws
actually-
it in on a natural. He's just like,
Dude, it's slid. It's just so perfectly. And
I have
smooth.
2 striker games tonight, and you best believe I'm throwing in some of those.
You have to. You have to. But man, guys, I appreciate this a lot. Like it is not very often somebody like really sits down and it is just as simple as like wanting to understand how you did it. And I help people, like I've helped 3 or 4 people set up their stream, just the stream. Not even anything to do with commentary, anything to do with casting. Literally, they got into streaming, and I was like, okay, hey, what do you have now? Well, they're like, I have the software.
Hey, Taquito.
And they're like, oh yeah, I got you. Yeah, they're like, hey, I have the software, and I'm like, uh-huh.
I got the
And,
software,
and,
Taquito.
and they're like, I'm like, so do you have a scene? What's that? Oh, that's where we are. Do you have 30 minutes? Why? You're gonna want to listen to this. Why is that? Because you're not gonna want to spend a week trying to set your own stream up when somebody can just tell you how to easily do it. Okay, just listen to me, please. Yeah, like that is the one thing is like it's really awesome to hear. Well, we lost Vexy because he's got to go.
Oh nope, he's back.
No, he's back for a second.
God, dude, I have to open a bunch of tabs right now, bro.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
yeah. Vexy's got a game here in a second. I know that, but it's the thing of like when they ask you where you came from, how you got here, and like what makes you so popular. It's one of those things like you don't want to feel conceited because you're talking about yourself. You want it to be in a positive light. You want it to be like a happy thing, like an educational thing. But then like you're also flexing on everybody. Like I get to tell everybody like, oh, I got 1,000 followers. Oh, that's so cool. But then like I turn the stream off and I look at myself and I'm like, bro, you have 1,000. You're nobody on Twitch. Like people have like hundreds of thousands of followers. You have like a measly 1,000. You're nobody. You're nothing.
You haven't made it yet. You're still in the trenches.
I'm gonna like bring myself back down. Like I'm not that cool just yet. Like, but I mean, it's really vindicating to know that I made it this far off of purely organic interaction, and none of this was forced. I didn't like. I didn't plan for this to happen. I didn't expect this to happen. It just did, and I truly have enjoyed my ride so far, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
And that's how everything goes. You know, you just have like one idea, and it takes off tremendously. And you know, I think if you can't tell by my camera just lagging, I think we about run out of time here in today's episode. AFiestyTaquito, Mr. Ho Yeah himself. Thank you for joining us here today on the 2nd edition of the AGL Your Vision podcast. Thank you for Meistyr and Moldy for setting this up. I'm just a guy, you know, I'm just a guy talking on the screen. And yeah, that's it for me. I don't know if Moldy has any last words, but Taquito, thank you. And you know,
Meistyr, do you got anything you want to add?
No, it's nice talking to you again, Taquito. I have plenty of questions.
And I will be happy to answer all of them. I will be happy to help out, man.
Well, obviously, of course, my closing statements. Taquito, it's a pleasure having you on. It's a pleasure always, you know, getting the chance to learn more about you. You know, I obviously just recently, I mean, I guess a few months ago, you know, is when I really first met you and did a co-cast with you. And you know, now here I am, get to know a little bit more about, you know, who you are, how you made it this far. So it's truly amazing to obviously hear these stories from you and whatnot. And, you know, obviously, thank you for sharing them with us. It's been a pleasure having you on. But Taquito, do you have anything else? Any shout outs, anything you want to give to anybody else or anything like that?
I mean, straight up, like, they helped push me over the hump. So shout out Valhalla for definitely, like, they got me to 1,000. Like, they definitely helped get me to 1,000. Had it not been for their games and the resurgence of my casting, like, it really, I wouldn't probably be here still. Like, I probably wouldn't have made it just yet. But I mean, shout out to you for AGL for providing something that's definitely on the come up. It's for sure like blowing up way quicker. Well, what do I know? You know it's blowing up quick. Meistyr, shout out to you, like an Oregoner, somebody who is doing what they can to provide teams for the scene and a safe place for people to play, and like garnering that competitive drive and that competitive like desire. Just, I mean, whether it be fun or it's like, you know, try hard, you're still trying to provide a safe space for players to do that in. Vexy, dude, you're young, you're still on the come up. listen, you are like, you have you have in your mind what you want to do. You are one of the very few people, I'll say this every time, who literally has in their mind who they want to be and how they want to be, and you're still working on it, and you still are you're putting the shine to the jewel. You know what I mean? You're still putting the pressure on it. You're still trying to create that diamond.
That's one of those taquito analogies that I don't understand, but you just smile and wave. You know what I'm saying?
You're putting pressure on yourself. You're not a diamond just yet, but you're putting pressure on yourself till you become a diamond. Because that's the phrase, brother. What happens to carbon when you put pressure on it? It becomes a diamond.
Oh, sure.
So, anyways, thank you guys for real. Thank you for this.
100%. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for our second episode of the AGL Eurovision podcast. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive, and we will see you all later. Peace.